everyone's like intervening.
No, we are help resisting. Like this is a good, like you see, important person.
Yeah, it's like we're supporting you. The hair and makeup.
VIP. Yeah.
I think you're on.
Okay. Hello, everybody. From downtown San Francisco. I'm FIDE Master Paul Whitehead, and I'm joined by Grandmaster Nick DeFermian, who's in an undisclosed location.
For his own, in abundance of caution.
Actually, where are you, Nick?
Oh, well, in the Bay Area.
He's in the Bay Area. Okay. Is this the volume control? All right. I want to be able to hear Nick here, so I'm cranking up the volume.
Pump up the volume.
I'm pumping up the volume. Hi, Mike Walter. How are you? Okay, I guess we're good to go. Oh, I need the DGT boards here. They're somewhere accessible. Yeah. Let's see there.
I don't want to do
That's
it.
maximized.
Right.
There we go.
Is this it?
It's probably, is it here? There we go. How do I get to it though?
You see, I just know Control D.
Okay. Oh no. Oh, there it is. Right there. Ta-da. Oh.
Yeah, but why is it? You know what? This is able to.
Yeah, so Nick, how's it going?
Oh, good. Oh, good. You know, we're here in October, round 6. So just tonight and the next to decide the fall champion.
And we're waiting. And Mike is running to the, thanks, Abel. Okay. Mike's running to the chess game. I was hoping we would talk about something else other than chess tonight, but okay.
We talk about running, running to the chess game, running around. Our accountant in the Mechanics Institute is almost a professional runner.
Did you run into our accountant? Thanks for following us, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm here live downtown San Francisco, and I'm in the chess room office of the Mechanics Institute, the oldest chess club in the United States. In the other room is about 80 chess players, all masked up and playing in this tournament, round 6. Let's go to board 1, huh, Nick? Yeah, cut to the action here.
Yeah. Now, is it okay to talk about you're there in downtown San Francisco with the vaccine mandate, with the California governor's mandate for vaccines, and you're in real control there. And that all the chess players there, they abide by that. And you're 80 players. It's like one of the biggest chess tournaments in the country.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got to wear their masks, and that's part of it. I mean, we don't need a vaccine. As far the players don't need to be vaccinated, but they need to be wearing their masks. So I think that's probably typical of chess tournaments across the country right now. There might be some places. I think in Berkeley they're requiring vaccines to play in their chess tournament, but that's probably rare, I would say.
But you would be very happy to have the Lone Ranger playing in your tournament there.
The Lone Ranger?
He always wore a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Ian Tonto. It was
Oh my gosh, there must be a million funny jokes about masks and stuff like that, Nick. Right? I mean, like let's say somebody robs a bank and then you wonder, like, the cops come and ask you, did you recognize the guy? And you say, well, he was wearing a mask. There must just be a million jokes like that out there, something like that.
I
I
haven't
don't know.
noticed whether bank robberies have gone up during the pandemic because of the.
Everybody's a bank robber. Everybody's wearing a mask. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's still not probably a profession that pays off in the long run, but shall we take a look at this game? This is board one.
Why not a bit of chess? And Ezra, I assume this is Ezra on board one.
Yeah, this is Eiko Hidari versus Ezra Chambers, and I've got the standings here. There's 2 rounds to go. This is round 6, and it's a 7-round tournament. And Ezra, you know what? I think he's got 5 points.
Yes, 5 out of 5.
He's got 5 out of 5, so he's just tearing it up here.
And how many does Eiko have?
3.5.
Yeah, Eiko needs to win.
And Elliot has 3.5, and Nicholas Wang have 3.5, and they're on board board 2. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's take a look at this game, Nick.
Okay, so Ezra could just win the championship with a win here, and he is the highest rated player. But you and I have seen Eiko play these very imaginative, very considered games. So, okay, despite the rating difference, I think we're going to have a good battle here.
So, I mean, this is Black is playing what is this? An old Indian, or not an old Indian? White doesn't. It's like a perk defense, or could turn into a Philidor here or something.
It could transpose, but they could call it a perk and this, rope-a-dope style of.
And White fianchettos the King Bishop,
which is a good move. Eiko plays this very principled chess, and he likes the logic of the chess game, and so his pieces very good. And you got the pawn to e5, exactly kind of a Philidor's king. Now, objectively, White is a little better if you handle it really well, but it's hard. Nothing's too wrong for Black. You're castled. Your minor pieces are out. You've got a little less territory in the center, but just a slight slip up by White, and you're very happy. So Eiko needs to play really well with the White side.
And Michael Walder says B6 wasn't the sharpest move in the shed.
Yeah,
The
okay,
sharpest
Michael.
move in the toolbox.
Michael, but there's no easy refutation.
Okay.
There's no big harm in a move like that. Computers will have their, 12-move versions that give a slight plus or minus, but okay, look at this. Again, I'm impressed by Eiko, who's just one of our club players and comes to the Chess Cafe on Mondays, which we all like because that's where all the club members just hang out, talk about the world, chess, and
Let their hair down.
Yeah, and Paul runs that. It's like the pandemic never happened. Everybody
You know,
just
Nick, I'm thinking of going to the Bernal Heights Chess um, Club this Saturday.
which absolutely you should. It's Bernal Heights in San Francisco, a few BART stops away from the center, Montgomery Street. And we're near Paul's old hangouts of the cafes in San Francisco.
All right, so White should have played f4 here. Is that what Michael's saying? Instead, this is leading to Black's advantage. Why? Because Black is going to put a rook on e8 and a knight on c5. Oh, d5 instead of queen d2. Yeah, I always
Okay.
like playing d5 in response to this b6 stuff. Let Black weaken himself and even more by moving the knight at f6 and playing f5.
Well, yes, just a minor slip, and Black is quite equal if he plays it correctly.
All
But
right, well, let's move on to board 2, shall we? This game is still up in the air. This is Elliot Winslow versus Nicholas Wang. And let's go all the way back. And we've got another, I think, a Grunfeld. I thought only grandmasters were allowed to play the Grunfeld, Nick.
maybe they should be.
Should they outlaw this opening among players rated below 2,500?
And if you want to lose, you can play any opening at all. There's a constitutional law about that.
Okay, well,
I mean, in some states, you're not allowed to make such bad moves.
all
You
right.
get put in jail.
So we got a Grunfeld here with rook b1, a6. Is that a move? a6.
No, that's Nicholas played it, but it's got to be a second-rate move.
To me,
Just
that looks wrong.
you know, a whole tempo. Okay, he played it. And there's no tactical refutation, but Black must be better, or White must be better against Black's unusual strategy.
And this is not an unusual strategy. This is just pawn snatching.
Okay. Well, I love playing like this is White. You give a side pawn. Okay, there's some sharp stuff, but you ought to be able to find something for the White side. And right, snatch the pawn on a2, go back. Yeah, you have a pawn. White's all developed. There's no clear tactical refutation, but I would like playing the White side.
Hello, Sean Lee, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well, Black has snatched a pawn, but I'm eating peanuts here. So, and Queen C1.
So, what has Michael Walden to say about such a situation?
He says Elliot is an H4 player and doesn't castle, usually.
Well, this time Elliot castled. That's and I can't blame him.
And look at this move, H5. This game is off the charts here.
Okay, you gotta like it. You know, black says, "I want my pawn," and white says, "Yeah, okay, take your pawn. I have my development in the pawn center. Um, let's see, let's see whose strategy is better."
I mean, what I like about Nicholas, the way he plays, is he's thinking for himself here. I mean, these are unconventional moves that Black has played: A6, H5, but he's thinking for himself.
Yes, yes. Some of us old school players, we go by positional themes and something, uh, and we'd say, "Oh, that's just wrong." And of course, we were right a lot of the times. But yeah, some of those old rules, they make sense. And I think Nicholas has ignored them. I might just go pawn to h3 with the white side. And
H5 is an extremely odd move.
it stops bishop h6.
It does at that.
But okay.
I think Elliot is attempting to open the game up a little bit here with C4.
And Elliot charges immediately forward, and it looks pretty decent. But we had this Zugzwang class last night with Capablanca. I mean, some of his Capablanca games. And Capablanca would never rush things. The opponent could do this or that. Capablanca's moves, he'd sit back and say, "Yes, you can do this, you can do that, but I'm only allowing you to do so much." And here, okay, Elliot just rushes forward.
Well, maybe he wants to take on C5 or play D5 or bishop F4, D5 and E5 or something like that.
Well, I have to agree. It all looks good for him. He can go D5 and bishop C3.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah.
Elliot says he's got a good score against Nicholas.
I would not be surprised. But that's very psychological too. Until you beat somebody, you think you can't beat them.
Right.
So Nicholas is.
I thought Nicholas had beaten Elliot a game once, so I'm not convinced that Elliot's memory is perfect. All right, and he goes queen back to d8. So, I mean, to me, it looks like Black has really messed around here.
Yeah, you've grabbed a pawn, but you've messed around.
All right, let's go to board 3. And this is Sean Kelly versus Kevin Reece. This should be a good battle here. These players also, well, Sean Kelly has 3.5 too, so he's tied for second through fourth, or second through fifth. Second through fourth. He's playing Kevin Reece, who has 3.
Well, this is all very interesting battle between the sort of top players, but they need Ezra to lose or draw for any of them to have a chance for first. And actually, that could happen tonight.
Well, we want blood as a matter of principle, right? We want to see the blood flow.
Yeah, I mean this.
I like that G3 move. Solid.
It's theory, and that's a good move. You can also do A3 to contest the queenside squares. All right, now it's locked up on the queen side and black.
We're having a word from our sponsor. Actually, a word from the chess room director, Abel Telemontes. He's here with me.
I was just gonna say, so one of the players tonight couldn't play, and sent me an email that he's not gonna be able to make it tonight. He sent it to me yesterday, and I don't know in the history of the TNM. There's a lot of excuses of why people don't make the round.
Oh,
right?
okay.
His excuse was, I'm not going to be able to make the round because my dad just won the Nobel Prize in economics.
Holy moly! Wow.
So I said that's probably the best excuse that's ever been given for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one of our players, his father won the Nobel
Nobel
Prize
Prize
in
in
economics.
Yeah, that was Andrew Imbens. Who's,
Wow.
probably like 12 or 13. And his dad won the Nobel Prize in economics.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I said, I asked John, I go, have you ever heard one that topped that one? That's a pretty good one.
That's a great excuse, but it's not really a good enough excuse. I think we're going to have to...
I'll take it.
Mechanics. It's good, but
Yeah, it's good, but it doesn't hold water. I'm sorry, but no, that's congratulations. Wow. A Nobel Prize in economics.
Yeah,
The
that's
father
best,
of a Tuesday night marathon
that's
chess player.
the best excuse ever.
Right. And I guess it's true. Yeah.
oh yeah,
That's
true.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, she's like,
Amazing.
I have to say that's the best excuse I've heard in a long time.
So out comes bishop to b4. And, it seems to me black's putting his piece in front of the pawn that he's supposed to be pushing, but what do I know? Maybe he's trying to provoke a3. And here comes knight a4. Whoa, watch out, white. And black turns this into another kind of opening here. Now, another kind of, not opening, but structure. So white needs to blast open the position with f5 and get going, right, Nick?
Yeah, somehow you doubled the pawns, but made it kind of easy. You gave the white side this very strong structure.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
God, it just looks bad. It looks like you could go blast f5. Pawn takes f5. Knight to
What he did.
h4. Knight to h4, threatening d5 and f5. Knight to e7, trying to guard everything. Pawn to g4. Ooh,
This is a really nice looking game by white.
Oh, he did it. He did it. Okay. And
Wow, you can't ask for a more principled play than this.
and somehow, okay, bishop g5. So is this going to work for black at all? You probably have to take on c3 so that
He
knight
didn't,
can.
though. He played bishop e6. Why didn't he take on c3? Then you could bring the knight back to e4, maybe.
This may have just been rushed by white. It's a very forceful continuation, hitting everything. But does it work? And I'm not sure it does. Knight c3 or bishop e6. My choice would have been knight c3, but
well, knight c3, g takes f5 is strong anyway. I think probably.
g takes f5, g takes f5. Yeah, maybe.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, so bishop e6, right? Not getting
That
greedy,
seems to
but
lose a tempo.
except maybe you're right. G takes f5, G takes f5. What is white got? Oh, probably a lot. Queen 3 or something.
Well, now white can defend the c pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think white's better with G takes f5, G takes f5, Queen e3, and you're gonna win the pawn back on f5 with nice kingside structure.
Yeah. Or just take on f5. I mean, then you can even take on e7 and take on f5 again.
Now, the player of white is Sean Kelly, and I don't notice if you followed his other games, but he is an aggressive player. He just goes for it, which
I think
like
his
it, of
rating,
course.
I think his rating has shot up like 500 points in the last few months.
Josiah Stearman is his coach.
His coach is Stearman,
Oh, okay.
Josiah Stearman.
Makes sense. Josiah is very aggressive himself, but just credit to Sean Kelly. I love to see his games. He's pressing every time.
All right, let's roll down to the next board 4, where Nathan Fong is playing Gallardo. And I'm going to zip back. And it's a Dutch defense, of course. And 94 in the Lenin, what's this? The, forgot the name, Ilyin Zhenevsky variation or something. 94, early 94.
Yeah, this is the Ilyin Zhenevsky variation of the Dutch. Back in the 1910s or 20s, you could get your name after a chess variation easier than today. We would certainly have the Paul Whitehead variation.
Yeah, I know, but now we've got like the Bong Cloud variation.
It's not as good.
No, ridiculous. Isn't 94 Alekine's move in this position?
You know, I'm not sure. I think White hits the knight as Guy does, and what do you do with the knight? It's I kind of feel White's better in this variation.
Yeah, this is a simple way for black to play. What about this rook d1 move?
I like it. It's in case of d5 or e5.
Whoa! Okay.
That's a lot of black pawns going forward, but they all get a little bit loose. So I might have gone just queen c2, but let's see queen a3. Gotta like it.
Black has got to be careful here.
Bishop e3, developing, hitting things, and
Is
wow,
b6 for real?
Okay, opening the long diagonal.
I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, begging for a tactic on the long diagonal.
and knight g5 means that e6 hangs if black plays bishop b7. So
now you could have. Nathan went knight g5 immediately. You could have gone pawn takes c5 first. So it's complicated. I mean, certainly white ought to be better with that, threatening the rook.
now if I'm black, I would sack the exchange here, probably take on d4.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. If you go bishop b7, white goes bishop b7, queen b7, knight e6. That's complete misery. So it's going to be an exchange sacrifice.
Yeah, B6 is a weird, and Michael said that it was book to this point. Can you believe that?
Okay, now trust in
One
Michael is
Knight
he is
A6 is the right move here.
instead of b6. Okay, and must be a better move. Knight a6 is. But Guy is very provocative, and
He is indeed.
Michael, who is such a world-class theoretician, will not like Michael's or Guy's b6. But yeah, this is going to be a fight, and I am not going to predict the winner because I have a lot of respect for Guy's games. He takes these slightly dubious openings and pressures his opponent.
All right, well, let's move on then to the next game while Guy thinks about his move. This is Christian Clemens versus James Mahouty. And I'm going to go woo all the way back. And we have a Queen's Gambit. What is this called? Is this the Nimzo Indian or the Ragozin variation or what?
Yeah, this is the Ragozin when you play pawn to d5, but it could transpose into a Nimzo Indian. Bishop c3, pawn c5.
And A3 basically says, that's it. I want your bishop.
Yeah, you move the bishop out there, and if you're not prepared to trade your bishop, oh, you suffer. Back to b5, to a5, pawn to b4, and you lose your bishop. So you have to trade.
Now, who likes to play black positions like this traditionally? Petrosian?
Guys like Bronstein, Kotov, back in the 1950s.
Right. They could find something creative to do here. And who would like this position for white? Kasparov, people like the two bishops.
They wouldn't mind it, but it's theoretically equal, and so after the 1950s, 60s, white would play it just because they liked the position. They wouldn't be striving for a theoretical advantage.
So now we get another little exchange here.
Castles, it's already maybe a little mistake. Pawn to c5 would have been more active, and now it's a little harder to
trades on f6. Well, I guess bishop h4 g5 is something to consider.
Yeah, I would have definitely retreated to h4 because if they go g5, I say, "Oh, thank you, your king side's weak."
Yeah. All right. So this is reduced material here, with white holding a small advantage, I would guess.
Yeah.
If I'm black, maybe I would try to play knight c6 and e5, or I don't know what. These positions, I don't fully understand how to play these things. Look at this. This is like out of another variation. It doesn't look very to the point here, I think.
Bishop b5. Well,
doesn't do any harm, probably.
No harm. If pawn a6, you probably want to go back, bishop d3, pawn c6, bishop back to d3. It's no harm.
Well, white's losing some tempo here, and we have an even position, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, even's a good description.
Nick, this is a very mysterious rook move. Rook to d1.
I would have gone pawn to c4 immediately. Um,
I mean, rook d1 is
Not a bad move because if the action's happening with pawn to c5, pawn to c4,
I see it stops pawn to c5.
well, it discourages it. Yes.
I got you.
And what else is black going to do for a strategy? Still, I would have just gone pawn to c4.
Well, black has decided to weaken himself a little bit with f5, but maybe it's not so bad.
Okay, that starts the king side action. Slight weakness, but you said that's the side of the board I'm going after. Yeah, and black has an isolated pawn, so objectively, black should be a little worse. Let's see what happens here.
I mean,
Can we
black
see
can play
that?
pawn f4 with impunity is probably closing in on equality, but I don't know. The players are following their own stars. Okay, let's move on to board 6, where Anthony Acosta is playing Kevin's son. I'm going to zip through the game here. Aha. Now, this is age and treachery versus youth. Old age and treachery versus youth and what is the term, Nick?
Youth and energy? I don't know.
Youth and energy versus old age and treachery. Not to say that Anthony is a treacherous player, but he's an experienced older player, and Kevin is the young genius in your class, in your Zhuang class.
Well, I love to see the really young players there, like 9, 10, 7 years old or something, and they have such enthusiasm for chess, and they just say what's on their mind. And it's nice, even in the class, 15 people or something, they're all kind of indulgent. Some young person just says, "How about this? How about that?"
Oh yeah, Kevin is he's a charming young man. Look at this G6 move. That's just got cheekiness written all over it.
Okay, well, see if you copy after Bishop B2.
And Kevin is Gadir's student. And G6, huh?
It's curious. You could go pawn to e5 and pawn to e6 afterwards. It's
Or yeah, bishop f6 and knight c3. I mean, there must be a lot of different ways to play this, but all right, knight c3.
okay. So slow down with that move.
Queen e2.
Pawn to d6. Okay.
This is part of a strategy here. So Michael likes this.
All right, okay.
And he's saying there was a game of miles, I guess, where after e5, black played knight h5. How about that?
Miles would do that. Miles was a tricky player. Would set problems for you, and he would give you positions you had not seen before.
Oh, but look at this. Kevin plays a nice continuation here.
Well, that's a very principled one. Knight Ogre, and of course Knight D4.
This is
H3 was not the move you wanted to
Yeah,
play.
I think this has gone wrong for white.
So you have to go Queen to D1.
We played queen to D3.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, okay. Queen T3. Wow. What, you're close to a knockout.
Yeah, with like knight D7 or something. I guess knight
You
D7.
probably have to go Bishop F3. That's probably force. And now is it Knight H5? You did not
Knight
go Bishop
H5 is a
F8.
nice move. Yeah. Or Bishop H6, maybe? I don't know. Of course, white can move his knight on C3 for some quick action.
He didn't go Bishop F8, did he?
No, he played Bishop G7. A6. I like your knight H5 move too. Stops F4.
Yeah, maybe he should have stopped that earlier.
All right, well, he plays it now.
Still, I rather like black because...
Ooh, Bishop H6 here. And white is losing a pawn. Kevin's just playing a great game here. E5 now. Nice.
Now, if the queen is hanging, E5. So play your pawn up for white.
For black.
Not okay, your castle. You can go H4, H5. So it's a pawn, but not a lost pawn down position.
I'll bet you Kevin's pretty happy here.
I would be happy with an extra pawn. So.
Yeah. You know
Some
what,
people
Nick?
want
I think Kevin's going to try to put Anthony Acosta in Zhuang.
Let's watch out for that.
I think that's his plan. Okay, all right. H4 was played and B4. Look at that bold move. I don't know if I would have done that.
I would have gone A5. I don't know.
A5, A4, and B4 is a strange one.
Yes.
All right. Bishop H3. A5, Bishop G4. I mean, white really has no play here. H5 takes, queen takes. Ooh. It's funny, black is sort of going all in. Oh, G5. I think I would have avoided that if I was black, but
Yes, I mean that seems everything
wrong.
else is principled, but put a pawn on the same color as your bishop.
Yeah.
Block the bishop's diagonal.
That was not good. Yeah.
No, I mean
I don't know. I think that's just bad positionally move as well. Still, black has some, an extra pawn, and the idea of playing C4 or some point. Still, that's a funny move, G5. Okay. King B1, and black is in the think tank. All right. Well, we're getting some interesting chess here, Nick.
Sorry, what move did you say? Oh, black is in the think tank.
Yeah.
King B1. So counting 2, 4, 6, 2, 4.
Still up a pawn.
Black up a pawn. Well, wow, that's just good. If I were black, I would go castle and king to h8. Just hide the king way away from all the white forces. And then you can do more action.
Mm-hmm.
If you start the action with the white king in the center, well, there may be some problems with the white side.
Let's move on here. This is board 7, where Adam Mercado is playing Samuel Brownlow. This looks like a Sicilian dragon or something, right? Oh, not dragon, but rather, all right, so.
Yeah, kind of a Sveshnikov.
All right, these moves are reasonable. A4 doesn't really mix in well with bishop c4, does it?
That is a bit odd. It is a bit odd, but it can work. I've seen it played by some strong grandmasters.
And now knight c6. Usually with the idea of playing a5, but
But that's the move. Knight takes c6. You say, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm going to get rid of my problems. But it's at the cost that black gets this wonderful pawn center, c6, c6 pawn, d6, e5. Those guys can march forward. And so objectively, black has no problems in the position.
normal would be just a castle here. Okay, so boom, 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 a5. I suppose. You know, sometimes these positions can be a little difficult for black to play, especially when he says to himself, "Oh, I've got a really nice game now," and then fails to find a good plan. Okay, so we're still in the opening phase almost of this game.
Yes.
All right, let's jump to. You want to jump down to board 8?
Yes, it's nice this way we have all this options of different games and focusing on the most entertaining games.
All right, well, I'll try to keep us all entertained.
I mean, St. Louis does this. Of course, they have a big sponsorship and some great players, but some of those games...
They have nice graphics.
Okay.
Although I do like our homespun graphics.
Oh, this is nice for the white side. Ezra does.
This is not Ezra. Credit. This is Elliot Gimmelfarb.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, Elliot's playing very principled chess. Develop your pieces, take control of the center, and it's a bit of problems for black. Even though black has developed everything, white's got this sort of control of the center.
And of course, this came out of a center counter defense.
One of the most popular defenses of the day or the decade.
Yeah, not at the top level, but in the amateur world. What about knight f6 here?
Again, it's become in the old days. You know, Bobby Fischer would say knight f6. I'm going to show you a forced refutation, and you kind of believe it. But, okay. 50 years later.
Bobby Fischer just, I don't like rook fd1. I prefer rook ad1 and rook fe1. But that's, who knows. And Michael's saying he likes black here, but I don't agree with that.
while my computer is catching up.
Maybe black needs to play queen e8 before he plays c5.
I don't know how you can actually like black, Mike. I admire the independence of it, but well, whites and black may turn out okay, but right now it certainly seems to be black under pressure.
All right, let's roll. We're going to roll down to, this is the top board in the under 1800 section, where Stephen Parsons, who I think is 4 points, is playing Marty Cortinas with 4.5. All right, this is a normal middle game kind of position.
This is very normal. After the other games we've seen, players just develop symmetrical pawn structure, pieces out.
I think black has kind of done all right, exchanging the light squared bishops, and
there are no problems for black in the position, but
all right, let's move on to board 2 then. In the under 1800 section, where Paul Reed is playing Daniel Wang. And black has just played f6 to stop g5, I guess. Let's go back a few moves here.
yeah, okay, that's something to do, but
Now we start to get, I mean, this position looks kind of normal. But black starts to play some weird moves here, like b5. I don't know about that.
it is a bit funny. You get to a good position, you don't know what to do. You have to develop some strategy. You have to do something. So b5, I agree with you. Just not the right move, but at least it's going forward.
And I like g4. G4's got a kind of a nice feel to it. And now, Shazam! Black weakens some more squares over there on the king side. So now knight h4.
I think black should have pressed. Should have gone knight f6, pawn g5, knight e4.
There you go.
And you're giving white trouble with that. But f6 is slow, and white can just take over the white squares on the king side.
Okay, let's go back up to board 1.
Ezra has just been Superman these last days.
We had this where Ezra took on d4 and played knight c5, attacking the e4 pawn. White defended with f3, and I think this is a looks like white's had a little bit of a issue here. Rook d1 does not stop d5, probably. Certainly looks equal for black.
Yeah, and you've got all your pieces out and you equalize. And the old saying was 30 years ago, if black equalizes, he's better or she's better. But yeah, black has played the opening very well, and white has not seized the initiative.
Let's go back here, Nick. I want to try to figure out where white went wrong. maybe d5 here, or after black plays bishop b7, now d5.
Yeah, or rook e1. It's taking with the queen on d4. Bishop e3 also just blocks e-file. It looks very logical, but it doesn't fit into stuff.
Right. White's now maybe not so great here.
Yes, it's like you've got the e-pawn attack. The white pieces are stumbling a bit. So spread the board with a4, with maybe f4, maybe advance on the king side.
All right, let's move down to board 2. Oh my gosh. There have been some developments in this game, Nick.
It's yes. Sort of
Let's
a
see what
pillar
happened
defense
here.
and then to a dragon variation, but the white got the pawn up to d6.
I think black got a little too experimental here.
Oh, now, why did he do that? Why not trade the bishops first? Trade the bishops on g7, then e5.
Yeah.
Get rid of that best defender. I think that was a mistake. But white's still doing nicely.
Black is in trouble here.
God, pawn to e6, break up all those pawns.
Instead,
okay, still looking for a knockout. Rook e1 still looks really good for white. But knight f8 stops any sacrifices, which probably should have. What is this trade? Okay, if you trade the queens, you must think he's got some winning idea. Because keeping the queens on is probably a winning position with attack. So
I tend to agree with you, but like queen e3 here or something, but
okay, but let's give a thought.
anyway, he traded and then did this. This looks pretty good for white too.
I guess so. He must feel confident he can take his pawn back, and I guess that is a really good position. Is it a winning position? Now it's white to move in this position.
It's black to move.
Oh, okay.
Knight d7. I mean, I don't know what's black going to do here. Black seems to be in trouble.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this game was just indifferently played by black. All right, let's move down to board 3.
Yeah, it looks like that's a real grip on the central king side that white has. So the pawns on d6, e5, the bishop. You want to stop black from moving, so you just slowly improve your position. Moves from the black side are just good and improving the situation.
What about this game, Sean Kelly? I imagine white is close to winning here. Knight f5 looks very strong. And then come crashing down on f7. I don't think black is long for this world.
Yeah, it's very difficult for the black side. So you need something sort of desperate.
Let's move on. We'll come back to this game.
Yeah, I mean, black is suffering. White's trying to cash in.
And Guy Argo is still thinking after knight g5. So let's move on. And black is massing up on the king side and the e file. And white's penetrated a little bit here, but black must be doing okay here. I mean, somehow. Rook c6, queen d8. There's tactics here, of course. Maybe black can think about taking on f3 at some point. All right, it's a game. It's complicated. Let's roll on here.
Well, it's nice if you and able to just say, hey, it's a game, and when the strategies don't quite work out or problems for the aggressor, that we still got an entertaining game.
I can just hit the button and move on. Right? And here Kevin's son is trying to close the deal here. Boy, he blocked his own bishop, didn't he, with that g5 move. Now's maybe the time to bring it back to life with d5 and bishop f8 or something. Just castle for black, maybe. And bring that other rook over to b8. It looks like white's in trouble.
Well, it's nice Kevin and his brother came over. It's there's going to be trouble in the day.
Trouble in River City.
Trouble with a capital T. That rhymes with P.
All right, let's move on here. And this is still a sort of a conventional Sicilian type of position.
And
seems to be doing fine here.
Very interesting that white's sort of got more control of the board. Can black blast open the queen side, get some play against the white king? Sort of like a Benko gambit where you take the queen side files.
You must be talking about this game, the Acosta Sun game. I think we have a lag between you and I, Nick.
Okay, no, I was talking about the previous game.
Which game?
Oh, sorry, is this Acosta Sun?
Acosta Sun? I went back to Acosta Sun.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, this.
Black is close to a mating attack here with castles.
Yeah, with castles and rook b1. Okay, probably just winning that game.
All right, so let's go down to this game. All right, Clemens, this is kind of, all right.
Oh, there were two similar games. Yeah. No,
this is Mercado versus Brownlow, and this looks pretty just a game. Black seems to be doing okay here.
Yeah, just a position. Both sides things out. Staked out the center. some actioning happening on either
Oh.
side due to the pawn moves.
And in Gimmelfarb Jury, white has made the rook move up to d3. I like that.
Transferring over on the third rank. Maybe you want to go rook to h3 with the white side.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go on the hunt here. Okay. And here we have Parsons Cortinas. This is the top board in the under 1800 section. And black is definitely doing well now, I would say.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Just principle of play.
Yeah.
Natural things.
Better minor pieces.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah, Marty's idea or Stefan's idea may be just you hang out, you live on the first three ranks, and hope your opponent makes a mistake when they're trying to crash through.
And this game, still white is better. Black has kind of compromised his own game considerably in the last few moves. But maybe with knight f8, he can still try to hold on.
Yeah, if I were white, I'd play knight h4. Get that
Right.
bishop, knight, and queen into the attack.
Okay, let's move all the way back up to Chambers on board one. Eiko Hidari versus Ezra Chambers. And queen f2 was played to dodge. And now white has got a problem here that he can't take on d5 because e3 hangs. And what can we say? It's a problem of his own making, in a sense.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you try to get everything under control, but it doesn't work. So great move to hit in the center. White's in big trouble.
All right, let's move on to board two, where Nicholas is still in the think tank against Elliot Winslow. I like that idea, bishop h7, king h8, g5 in the Cortinas game.
Yeah.
Ooh. What is happening here? Okay, so white did take on f5. And this has got to be a decisive attack.
It certainly is a decisive attack. Sometimes I like to see players put up a heroic defense. You know they should go down, but you struggle, you make the S move, you make your opponent suffer. And if your opponent makes a slip, you're back in it.
Queen g6 is a cute little move.
Yeah, it is tough. It's tough. Guess rook g7. Hey,
rook f7 is just crushing.
It is crushing, but takes, queen takes. Do we take on f6 or do we go queen f3 check?
Rook f1 at the end.
We're going to go rook takes f7.
I take that.
And you have to take with the pawn.
Yeah.
Unless you want the end game. Actually, maybe you just do want the end game.
Well, let's say I take with the pawn, trying to mate you.
Yes, then maybe something like Queen D7 attacking the Apolt's prize in
Queen
1945.
where? Queen where?
Well, oh, you can't do that. I'm sorry. This if you get a Queen G8 check, so ouch, ouch, ouch. You know,
Yeah, I don't see anything working for black here.
I'm sorry, you're just right, Paul. You're right. It's there is no good escape.
Just take back with the pawn, and that's
Rook F7, pawn F7, Queen D7. This Queen D8, G8 check.
or rook E1 followed by Queen G8 mate.
So pawn takes F7.
That's just the.
Can we go Queen G5? Pray for something.
Queen H6 check. Oh, I'm sorry. Queen D6 check.
Queen G5.
Queen D6 check.
And King G7. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, if you keep hope alive.
No, you're right. That's got to be the only move.
If you play like
wait a minute, Nick. Queen G5, Queen G8 check.
Oh, what a crusher!
I learned that from you, Nick.
Queen G8 check, Queen G8, pawn takes G8, Queen, King G8, Bishop D5 check, forking the king and rook.
I learned that tactic from you, Nick, I think.
Oh, Paul, that is a monster move and the end of the game.
Sean Kelly is a monster chess player.
It's nice to see these players really coming up, really enthusiastic and getting better every time.
Oh, he's going to try it. Let's see if he sees Queen G8 check. Of course, Queen G5 and Bishop D5 is not that clear. I mean, with the pawn hanging at C3 and everything.
Yeah, it's probably winning, but it's a lot of work. And
Queen D6 check, King G7. That's probably winning too. But I like Queen G8.
Let's see. That would be the end. And sometimes it's better to give your opponent that one shot and repair your position.
Right. I mean, black didn't really have anything else.
Yeah, may as well try this. We were going to be lost anyway, so see if he plays Queen G8 check.
So Mike Walder says we fork the rook, and then I think the word fork reminded him of dinner time.
Well, Mike has his priorities straight. Yeah. A good fork for a gourmet meal.
Queen G8 check is quite nice. Yeah, fork's a fork. All right, let's move on.
We just wait for that.
And Guy Argo has made a nice little comeback here. He's down a pawn, though. Let's see what happened. After knight G5, he played bishop D7 and just gave up the pawn at E6.
Well, now that doesn't seem good, Guy.
No, it doesn't. And why doesn't white play pawn to D5 here?
I would do that. I would love that knight on E6.
I think I would do it too. But he backs up.
but this is also pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Still a little not quite as incisive. All right, let's move on.
No, now it's just a pawn. It's
And James Mahouty is still thinking after rook c6.
yeah, okay, James, you're in some trouble, but what can you do? Should he grab that pawn on a3?
All right, look at this. So if rook fb8, then queen takes e5.
Interesting. Very interesting. With a long diagonal threat. I love the defense. You think it must be lost for the white side, but it's heroic defense. You go into to calm down with bishop to g7. And I mean, you have this Enko gambit against the king on the white side of the board. So black just has.
If bishop g7, bishop takes e5, queen a1 check.
Oh, love it. And checkmate after bishop a1, queen, rook a1. And bishop g7, pawn to h6, rook on f to b1, threatening queen takes b2 or queen a1 check.
Tactics.
But yes, the rook on f to b1, queen takes e5.
Not so clear.
Yeah, it's hard to find the right shot then. So here, slow down. Just you have the right position. Just play like Capablanca for a couple moves and stop your opponent.
All right, let's move on. All right, this game is still in progress. And rook h3 was played, and black eliminates the knight at c3, trying to put his bishop on e4, I guess. Very dangerous for black, obviously. But maybe he can hold on.
Yeah.
Marty Cortinas is still thinking here in a much better position for black. And whoa, white played g5 right away. Oh, king g2 was played. And then on knight f8, g5. So white's going all in.
That is certainly aggressive.
Does it work?
Well, let's try to be greedy for the black side and say h takes g5 and say, what do you got here?
That's what I was thinking. Bishop h7, king f7.
No, the knight can also. Oh, right. Knight doesn't want to take on f7.
I guess it could, but you could play king f7.
But yeah, bishop h7, king f7.
Yeah, it's still up in the air.
If there's no checkmate, then black can develop his attack slowly on the queen side.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. That was board 2 in the under 1800 section. So we're going to go right all the way back up to board 1, Nick, where Eiko has played bishop g5, and I was wondering about that move, if it worked tactically.
I love Akko tries to play the principled move, and that's why I like to see his games. So when he makes a move, you have to show him some respect.
So
Ezra is, of course, doing things, but yeah, pawn takes e4. What's going on? White
yeah,
has to
that's
go.
what I wondered, because white can just take back with the pawn, maybe. And then does black have knight f6 takes e4?
Wound, because anything else taken on e4 doesn't work tactically. But when I go knight f6 takes e4, okay, knight takes e4, knight takes c4.
No, it doesn't work, right?
Not
Because
sure. I'm not sure. It's
well, because wouldn't white take back with the knight?
okay. Pawn takes e4. Pawn takes e4. Either knight, let's say knight f6 takes e4. White plays knight takes e4. Black plays the other knight takes e4.
And then you play bishop takes e4.
Bishop takes e4. White will go queen takes e4.
Oh, black can go queen takes e4, and if you take on f6, you get mated on h1. Wow.
Well, it is check on f7, but yeah, that long diagonal is
wow.
not where you want to be. Ooh, so pawn takes e4 is pawn takes e4. White plays pawn takes e4. Let's force it with knight f takes e4, and oh, Ezra. Wow, Paul, I think you found his winning continuation.
Because black can just play queen takes e4.
I am just, it looks good for black, but let's try to calculate the tactic. It's very well. Black plays pawn on d5 takes e4 and f3 takes e4, knight on c5 takes e4, white knight on c3 takes the black knight on e4, black knight on f6 takes the white knight on e4, and now white may go bishop takes the queen on e7, at which point you have to go black knight takes the queen on f2, and we could do a move like bishop takes the bishop on b7.
Yeah.
And what's the body count? It's temporarily a piece ahead for white, but okay, black can do the knight on f2, takes the white rook on d1.
All right, so what if black plays here, instead of taking on e4 with the pawn, takes with the knight on f6? And keeps the long diagonal closed.
But okay, our line is black plays pawn takes e4, and we were thinking white had to play pawn takes e4. But what move do you want to do for black instead?
I was thinking of playing knight f6 takes e4 here.
Oh, before you do pawn takes d5.
Yeah, not even playing g takes e4, but playing
So
knight takes e4.
So if knight takes e4, probably.
I want to keep the long diagonal closed so I don't lose my bishop at b7.
Yeah. Knight f takes e4. Knight on c3 takes e4.
And then just
knight on c5 takes on E4.
Now it's true you can take with the pawn. I take on G5 and you can take on F7.
Yeah, somehow that's possible.
What do you think, Nick? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know if you should. I don't think
thinking.
I don't think that variation works as well. I think you should try pawn takes E4.
Let Ezra do the thinking.
But credit to Eiko, playing the #1 rated player. He's pressured him. You know, Akko's an amateur and loves the game, comes to the chess cafe on Mondays just to talk about the game. And he is giving Ezra his money's worth here.
All right, let's see how Elliott's doing. Black's trying to break out of jail.
So Elliot got his pawn back. He's got active pieces. Got that monster pawn on D6. This looks tough.
But Black is trying to undermine all of White's pawns.
Yeah, it's definitely better for White. It's a question of how much. Maybe you do want to play bishop to B7.
That's a nice move.
You know, trying to trap that rook, and bishop C8 would be forced. Yeah, but maybe Black is, I mean, much worse, but not getting knocked out right away.
Mm-hmm. All right, tough fight. And White is still thinking. Oh no, it says resign. I wonder what move White played here. We don't know.
If White played Queen G8, Black would resign. That's for sure.
We don't know what happened. But the result looks like White won. So I'm assuming Queen G8. We assume Queen G8, or maybe there were other moves played, but White won.
Apparently somebody resigned, and I would be very surprised if it was White who resigned.
Well, we have, I have a result here at the bottom. It says White won, but.
Oh, good. Don Kelly playing great chess.
All right, so here we have Black. I mean, Black is, you know, come back quite a bit in this game.
It's only a pawn down, but White got the beautiful knight on D5. Yeah, it's White just needs to break loose to win the game.
Yeah. All right.
B2 is a nice patient move. And Nathan Fong is considered chess player.
White seems to be making some progress here.
Still an extra pawn.
Maybe
wait a
time
minute,
to
2,
sack
4,
the
5.
exchange.
White never won a pawn in this game? I
No.
was confused. But White's got a great position with the breakthrough on the C file and the knight on E5.
What about rook d4? Cheapo move.
Ooh, such a move.
Cheapo.
And then you've got to go rook takes d4, queen takes e5, rook to d1. So queen e1 check,
Maybe
queen f1.
Yeah, so knight g4 maybe. I don't know. No, that doesn't work.
Doesn't?
Well, maybe it
On to
definitely.
g3.
Yeah. And then White's threatening to take on d5.
Close. It's such action.
Well, I'm just trying to find something cheap.
Looks like this game is going to be a lot of entertainment in the next couple of moves. Oh,
Yeah.
but I don't like rook f4.
He played bishop g7, Nick.
Okay, so rook f to b8 is a monster threat. What can you do about it?
Bishop e5, queen a1 check is beautiful.
Yes, that is your line. Very nice. So how to avoid mate if you're the white side? You have to be rather creative. Pawn to d4 is sort of a move, but c pawn takes d3. More collapse. There's no way to avoid mate that is not a huge positional collapse. Although, can we do queen b4, rook to b1, queen c3? How do you actually put black away? Yeah, you can probably put them away, but take a couple of really thoughtful moves by black. But let's hope for White's line. What was it? Bishop takes e5 and Paul's queen a1 check. Mate next move.
All right, let's move on, Nick.
Any of these positions, you play a great game, but in the end, you have to play some super moves to cash in your points. Otherwise, you lose.
Do you know Asa Hoffman?
Oh, yes. What news of Asa?
I don't know. He's a good friend of Steve Brandywine's. I was just wondering if I don't think I've ever met him.
Well, you're an old New Yorker, yes.
F6 is All right, this game's heating up a little bit. Let's move on, though.
Yeah, that center is kind of collapsing, but it's also loosening. So
Black's played this well. After bishop e4, maybe white shouldn't have played bishop d3. Because more pieces are getting traded off.
yeah, no, but you have to contest the squares. And there is the white has the pieces out. Pawns are
And
even.
a two-move threat. I mean, he's threatening to take on d7 and then play something like bishop g5. Lights out. Actually, maybe black's in trouble here.
I think you're right. Yeah, the
Knight e5, maybe?
95 bishop e5.
And then h6. I don't know.
You can, but then just even if you bring more, wood to the fire, rook a1 to e1, all the white pieces are coming up. The plan is rook e3, rook g3. All 5 white pieces are in the attack.
This is definitely true. So black needs a more robust defense, but maybe there is nothing here.
.95 bishop e5, pawn g6 looks very ugly.
Trying to play knight g4 or something.
Sorry, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, pawn g6. I was suggesting.
Yeah.
It's so loose on the dark squares. It's probably a hopeless.
All right, let's move on. Wow, does white play rook f1? Oh, he wants to play pawn f3, I guess. Black is really starting to get somewhere here.
Yeah,
Still,
but
it's
you're
not
right.
over
Rook
yet.
f1 is not a bad move.
Yeah, I was wondering why did he play that, but now I see maybe f3 is a good idea. All right, let's move on.
Excuse me just a minute. I need some tea.
Black took back with the f pawn, and why not? Why open the h file? But of course, white can play knight e5 now. So, all right, I'm going to jump up to board 1. Thanks everybody for sticking with us here. Round 6 of the Tuesday night marathon. Wow, Ezra Chambers could not find anything after bishop g5 and played c6. And it looks to me like what the danger is sort of passing for white here after taking on d5. We're back to a sort of a regular game. Looks like black's a little better here, but this game is still, maybe the white queen should return to d2 here. No. And rook fe1 doesn't look bad either. Well, black didn't really get much. Interesting. Okay, couldn't figure it out quite. All right, let's move on to Winslow, Wang, and Nick's bishop b7 was played, and black absolutely had to defend with bishop c8. Oh, I'm sorry. White played bishop e4 first, and then f5, and then played bishop to b7. I see. Fixing the pawn structure. And black is playing for a blockade. Bishop, white trades. So what's the plan here? A black knight is going to stand very well on d7. I mean, really well. So bishop c7, though, will take the b file. Or maybe not. Rook b4. And that is a little unclear still. White might be tied down for a few moves to the defense of the e5 pawn. It's a bit of a mess. Bishop c7, rook b4. All right, we'll find out. Knight e5 threatened. Okay, so black played knight e5, threatening knight takes c4, and whoops, and white plays queen b3 to defend the c4 pawn. And now, I'm not sure that this is black's best idea. He can still play bishop e3 and then maybe pawn f4 and try to open up the king side a little bit. All right. And white makes luft here. Clemens is definitely in the control, in the driver's seat here. And after bishop g7, white played pawn to d3.
Wow, kind of desperation move. So we have to root for the black side, try to survive.
Rook takes d3.
Very practical decision, really. Saying,
so my question, Nick, is after d3, did black have something better? It looks like there's a lot of strong moves here. Rook fd8.
yeah, might have been too good. That's you'd have to go bishop c3.
I mean,
Yeah, still. Oh. And then pawn takes d3. Yes, pawn takes d3 might have been too hasty.
because white gets to sack the exchange. And that
I love it. White gets to sack the exchange to a lost position, and he's happy because that's much better than the alternatives. Oh,
and
unfortunately.
he took it, and the queen took, and now we're back here. What about rook fb8?
Yes. Okay. Rook fd8
and wins. Right?
Queen c3.
And then rook takes b2.
sorry, rook f8, queen c3, rook takes b2, and
Just wait.
b1, queen a1 check, we'd go queen to a1.
Well, wait a minute now. Queen, you're saying, rook fb8, right?
Queen to c3,
Rook takes b2.
queen takes b2,
Queen a1 check.
queen to b1,
Oh, we can play queen b1.
which is probably just winning for black, but not right away. I mean, it's such a miserable position for white. You're so hoping to hang on. And I guess we're all looking for some nice knockout punch. Yeah, give white a move or two, maybe could consolidate. It's, exchange down your king attack. But that's the stuff that heroes are made of. You sit and defend when it looks hopeless.
I like rook fd8 and then maybe bishop f8, but maybe it doesn't have time for that.
Rook fd1, queen c3, bishop f8. Oh, yeah. And I would want to go queen takes e5, long diagonal threatening mate. But you'll smash me with rook b2, queen b2, a3.
Rook ab8.
Rook ab8? Why? Why? Does queen a3 defend?
Yeah, and then we're going to get a long endgame where white's the exchange down. Oh, queen c3 is a blunder, right? Rook f. Oh, he can't play rook c8.
But okay, this was a bit of a mistake here. After some brilliant play, they're just not adding fuel to the fire. Put that rook on.
You got to hand it to
be
Anthony. He's defended this position, and black has missed a couple of good shots. Maybe just doubling rooks on the b file here, Nick. What can white do? I think white had to play queen a3.
Yeah. Queen a3 was
better.
Got an endgame, pawn down for the exchange.
Okay, black's
you
just
should be happy.
Black's just moving around here. What's queen h6 have to do? That's a weird one.
Okay, but however,
Can the
you
comments
can't just move around. You're the exchange up, you've got the attack. It's your party.
Yeah, that's true. But can the commentators resign, Nick?
I'll have to check the legal documents.
I've got Abel here in the house. Maybe he can tell us.
We can resign whenever we want.
He said we can resign.
Whenever you want.
Nick, are you drinking tea, coffee, or something else?
Have my tea. Have my tea in my cup.
Okay.
We have the Just Cafe, but on Tuesday night marathons, I have my tea.
Oh, and by the way, there was quite a development on board one. I'm going to jump back up there. Black, after bishop g5, played c6. He was unable to find anything else. Eiko took, and we're in this position. And Eiko's biggest problem is, of course, the time pressure thing. He fought back. He's probably back in the game, fully back in the game here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's got squares, he's got pieces. It's
But you can't run yourself out of time.
Oh, wait a minute. The time shows 1:47 for Eiko.
Oh, you've got the wrong time. I've got the real time. Oh, I'll have to tell Abel, for some reason they've got the wrong time on the see, I've got the right time over here, but you've got the wrong time.
I've got the wrong time.
It must have been the wrong place.
The wrong place.
Yeah,
at
the wrong time.
Yeah. Had to be the wrong time.
Yeah, we got the live clock coming here.
Must have been the right move.
It must have been the right move.
No stranger to that. Might be at the wrong place at the wrong
The wrong place, the wrong time, the right clock.
No, that's not it.
Who did that song?
Is that Dr. John, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, you got the right time now, but you're in the wrong place. Okay, so Echo's down to 34 minutes. And Ezra's got an hour plus.
That's more like Eiko, you know, down on his clock. He just does that. He wants to think, find the right move. And I admire that, you know. Maybe it's not so practical, but he wants to improve every game. He wants to think, what should he do?
Well, Nick, I'm going to let you figure this one out for a minute while I take a quick break, and I'll be
Sounds
back.
good.
Do you want me to, or do you want me to go to Elliott's game? I'm in charge of the. For those watching that don't know, I'm in charge of the.
Let's stay on board one. Let's stay on board one because
I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and I'm putting on my mask because I'm about to mingle with the populace.
enter the chess room itself.
I'm
Now, for
entering the
those
dragon.
who
I'm entering the dragon.
for those who are
I'm
just
getting
watching online, looks all safe. You see Paul come in, you see Abel come in, and Judith there sometime. But that is the director's chess room at the Mechanics Institute. And all safe, of course. Everybody in the Mechanics Institute, all the staff are vaccinated, required to be vaccinated. And anyone who comes in the room. The tournament, anybody who comes in the tournament, they have to wear a mask. Our safety protocols, we feel quite confident with them. Nonetheless, we're getting a tremendous turnout every Tuesday, and we're very happy with that because Tuesday Night Marathon's been the main event since 1972. Okay, the newsletters, only 989 weeks, but Tuesday Night Marathon, every Tuesday, except for breaks between the rounds, it's on the rain or sun or snow or shine. So we don't want things like the pandemic to really affect us too much. We had a little break before we went online for a while, but back to the live fest. So with that note, which probably you all know about already, we get back to the game, and Eiko has been playing some great chess, but the ban for this event is Ezra Chambers. He's just been beating everybody. He's been playing really good chess, and he has gotten a couple of bad, maybe even lost positions, but fought very well, and he's managed to win. So in the clear lead, and if he wins this game, he wins the tournament. That's so kind of counting on Eiko with the white positions to at least draw the game. So there's still a fight for the first place. But if he wins the game, then okay, it's many people would take this. Now, what's the situation? Yeah, very tactical here. Maybe if I were Eiko, I would just go queen to d2 because black has this isolated pawn, and actually you're positioning better with the white side.
You know, for some reason the board hasn't caught up on board one. I don't know what's wrong. I just looked at the game and if several moves have been played. So there's a problem with the DGT board.
Oh, maybe because
Board one.
maybe because I was here and it didn't like me, it wouldn't update while you weren't here.
Maybe you were in the wrong place at the right time, or
Yeah,
there's some
right place
issue
at
on
the
board
wrong
one.
time.
I don't know what it is.
So
Let's
you
go
can
down to
move to
Elliott's
another
game.
board that's updated then until
Elliott's game is definitely updated though.
oh,
Yeah, Ezra's game there's a stall. It's stalled for some reason.
now this is a updated game. Pawns are even. White's pieces are jumping all around with that pawn on g6.
This is a complicated one, huh?
Yeah, sure looks like it should be good for the white side. What if you do king to f7 though?
Knight
Checking
d8
them.
check.
Knight d8 check, king to e8.
And if knight c6, bishop takes d6.
Ooh, what a shot! That you can undermine white's great central support on d6.
I'll be right back again. I have to hide the peanuts and the chocolate from myself.
Probably some elephants coming in the room there that like peanuts. You know, we're a very friendly club. We allow most anybody to come in. Elephants are welcome in the Mechanics Institute Chess Club. Bring your own peanuts. So back to the game. There's Elliot Winslow against Nicholas Wang. Again, while Winslow has all these shots, but can Nicholas defend by using his king aggressively?
Hey, it's
King to
slow circle
f7.
quip. Who is that again? Sean Kelly. Yeah, you're just playing some chess, Sean.
Yeah, congratulations to Sean. Lots of good games the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, I expect you to win this tournament soon, Sean. Don't let Winslow and Chambers stand in your way.
That being said, Sean, help us find some shots for the white side.
No, wait a
Okay,
minute.
Winslow.
We also
Just
didn't
the
see,
truth.
we also didn't see the end of your game, Sean. I'm gonna bring that up. Did you play Queen G8 check in this position? Did you play Queen G8 check here? You did play Queen G8. That's a nice move. It's a beautiful move. And so black resigned. So you won the game. You played a nice game. What was your terrible move? What was your terrible move? Why? And you won. So what are you complaining about? Yeah, what's the matter with you? A rook f7 wasn't good. It took him 2 moves to resign after that. What was better than rook f7? Queen h6, maybe? We thought when Queen h6 and you win. Well, you won. How many times you want to win? Rook f7 is a. I see. After rook f7, he could have played. Look at that, Nick. He could have played Queen f7. We didn't even look at that. Look at that, Nick.
Yeah, that's a good move. That's a good move. Rook f7, queen f7. Do we have a nice shot? We have queen takes h6. Because rook f1 is coming.
Look at that. Huh, you're right. And white is almost lost, if not lost.
Oh,
well, no, it's not lost.
Just 1 moment. Rook queen f7, queen takes h6. What's going on?
Queen g8.
Yeah, and then
Queen g6, maybe? Queen f7, queen h6, queen g6. Wow, queen f7 would have just turned the game around. Incredible.
Oh, sorry, queen g6. Yes, queen g6 is
We didn't see that, Nick. What kind of commentators are we?
Ooh, that is suddenly just a game after that. So yeah.
Amazing. Nicely seen. It was the worst move you've ever made, huh? Not so sure of that. So interesting. Black had a good move here with. All right. Instead, we had this and the beautiful Queen G8 check. Finished off Cave and Reece. Well, okay. Well, let's move on.
Cave and Reece has been playing really well.
Our club players are ready to break through to the big time, Nick. I'm telling you. I was out there. I couldn't believe the excitement out in the chess room.
Yeah, that is great. The pandemic has not slowed us down.
The pandemic has made us tougher and stronger. And look at this guy. Argo is just going for it. It's like, I'm a pawn down, and you've got a beautiful knight at d5. So what? I'm going to attack you, and let's see what you're going to do about it. You know what? I need to channel my inner Maurice Ashley. Start getting hyperbole. Hyperbole.
I have to say, Paul, not many people can do that. So I'm impressed if you're able to do that.
I might be able to do it for 15 seconds at a time. So I'm going to...
Now, of course, Maurice should have been commentating for ESPN and some football game, basketball game, or something. And we're very glad to have him for the chess games.
There's nobody like him.
He brings the high energy, to the chess game.
You know who we really need is the guy. I forgot his name, but he's a famous commentator for Spanish soccer. and he's the one that shouts "goal," and like it lasts forever.
Oh, yeah?
Right? You know who I'm talking about, Abel.
Yes.
Right? He's a comments for the Spanish Soccer League, for Spanish Soccer TV.
Oh,
Goal!
Andres Cantor.
Andreas Cantor, that's the guy we need for chess. I mean, there's nobody can match him. He makes Maurice Ashley look positively tame. What?
Now, people commenting for chess, would he say that for check or checkmate? Would he go, check?
That's right, Nick. You're a chess.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know what's right. I'm not a world famous soccer commentator.
Just the thought of it is funny as anything. Oh my god. Yeah. And then cut to a beer commercial.
Yeah, we need to move up with the times here.
That- Sean Kelly likes knight d7. Still, White's clearly got something going here.
I sure have something, but you have to make it work.
That's true.
It's the time to get your tactics in order. I mean, 97, oddly
Try to
good.
get rid of that knight at e5.
Yeah, black is happy to knock off that strong knight.
Andreas Cantor, that's the guy we need.
Maybe White should just go knight e3.
I remember during the World Cup, we would deliberately watch the Spanish television because of that guy, and it's just so much better than the American commentators were just terrible.
Well, they don't have such a love for the game.
Yeah.
But now you would have to say Maurice does.
Yeah, Maurice is in a class of his own. I mean, it's one thing to listen to, Saruman kind of drone on, and I like Yasser and Grishuk and Svidler, but then Maurice is just off the chain, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We need a chess commentator that's off the chain, and Maurice is the guy. So now knight f6, knight e5, knight g7, knight f3, and the draw?
No, you want to have that. You don't want to trade that white knight. You want to be able to jump into the e5. So knight f6, maybe you go rook c7.
There you go.
You just
mess around a little bit.
b3. White's better.
All right, let's move on. And this dramatic game, Kevin's son is, all right, White is in trouble, obviously. King c1 is going to be met by bishop h6. Ooh, black played g4, huh? Earlier. Let's take a look at this.
No,
Oops,
get
sorry.
the bishop in, but it's. I mean, if I were White, I'm so happy to survive.
G4. King g1, and the queen swings back to b6. Has he survived?
Well, Okay, that pawn on F2. You don't want to lose the pawn on F2.
Or the bishop on B2.
That'd be bad, yeah.
Okay, so Nordovik, you are going to be working next door to the Institute. Come down and check us out. You normally hang around the chess dojo? Well, we know. Yeah, we know those guys. Uh-oh. Christian blundered, apparently. Let's take a look at that.
Christian was playing a great game.
Oh, okay, so knight c5 was played. I see. Maybe knight f3 was not the right move.
Well, yeah. Knight d3, you could have chucked in knight takes c5, but knight f3.
And now white's losing the exchange. You know,
wait, do we have any cheapos?
You and I are not too sharp tonight.
Maybe.
I remember that one night where you were just finding every shot in the book, and now I don't know.
Sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't. Knight c5. What's our move? Yeah, it's hard to get the white pieces over to attack the black king.
Queen b5. How about that for a move out of
Queen b5, and they go. Interesting. Rook to c8.
Nick's audio is weird. That's not the only thing about it that's weird. Yeah. I mean, the whole broadcast is kind of weird, don't you think? No, okay. But seriously, we're sorry. We have technical problems. We'll get back to you. We'll work on it.
Okay, I'm sorry if my voice isn't coming clearly over. Paul, can you hear me?
No, you sound fine. You sound fine to me, but it's true that people have different interpretations.
Audio connection.
Yeah. Echoey. Yeah, sometimes that happens when I'm too close to the computer or not close enough, or I don't know. We're working. Nick's on a laptop. Nick and I are both on laptops. You know, I've been trying to get the Mechanics Institute to get us one of those, those chairs that look like, pilot chairs, so so they were like, ready for blast off. Yeah, with a couple of joysticks.
Well, we need the modern influencer setup. But,
yeah, we deserve that, Nick. We should become modern influencers with cockpits ready for blast off here.
Speaking of which, your queen to b5 move looks like a nice move.
It's born of desperation.
Desperation can be very inspiring.
So if rook e6?
Rook e6, you can throw knight d5 in.
It's getting tactical. It's getting tactical.
Yeah, maybe it's nice. White is holding on, and if white is holding on, white can be better.
All right, Acosta is still thinking about his move against Kevin's son. It looks to me like white's lost now because king c1 can be met by bishop h6.
Yeah, I don't think you can go back with king c1. You have to try to escape. Ooh, but
Kevin, I mean,
Yeah.
it's been an uneven game, but Kevin is really in his element here. You know, the pieces flying all over the board and with all kinds of little tactical shots and everything. This is a fun game for Kevin.
so this being really bad for black. How about bishop to a3, attacking the rook on fa?
And if rook fd8 check,
And the king goes to e2, or can we get out of there?
queen a6 check.
Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. We just get skewered and crossed over after his arm.
Bishop h6 coming.
So that white king is just caught in the center there. Not to mention the pawn down, or exchange down to a pawn, but the king just can't get out of the problem.
Yeah, Cost is in trouble. All right, let's move on here and see what's going on. Okay, I was wondering here, White sacked a piece on d5, but this doesn't look right somehow. I was wondering if he would try this.
Well, the idea is that, oh, now he's down one piece already.
Yeah, he sacked his knight on d5.
Okay.
Maybe it's good. Black took, and now he's played bishop d5. So rook a6 or take it.
Oh, well, but take it. Queen takes on d5, check, and takes the rook on a8.
And you have a knight and a bishop for a rook, but White's got a lot of pawns.
So you would prefer to not lose that, and so your rook a6 keeps a lot of material. That actually looks quite good. Rook a6.
But you got to admit, White's got some juice here. Like, what if rook, maybe bishop c5? I don't know.
Well, bishop c4.
I mean, bishop c4, yeah.
Rook a6, bishop c4.
Doesn't
Yeah,
exactly threaten. Doesn't exactly.
Bishop to e5.
It's a wild game. This is one of those, you know, an enterprising sacrifice by White here after Queen e8.
Adam Mahouty does that. He loves the action.
Yeah, Queen e8 was like, okay, so White wants to play Queen h5, and Black's like, okay, you can't play that. Now I'm sounding like Maurice Ashley. You know, White wanted to play that, but Black's not going to allow that. So, you know, okay. So whammo, there's the sacrifice.
Yeah, that's like really forcing, like really taking the crowbar, you know, just saying, hey, you got to do this. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little too forcing. So pawn takes d5, bishop takes d5, rook a6, and well, you do have to prove your sacrifice. You have 2 pawns for your piece, but where's the beef?
Okay, let's move on to I think White's winning the exchange here. Okay, so Black played g6 and White tried to stab him with bishop h6. And now for some reason Black didn't play rook e8. But he took on e5, and White simply recaptured. And that looks like it was... What?
Very clever. Pawn takes e5.
So Black shouldn't have taken on e5, right? Maybe Black should have played rook e8? Yeah. Oh, then knight c6. What a move.
95, very clever tactically.
Look, because if rook e8, knight c6 wins the queen.
Yeah.
So bishop h6 wins the exchange. Nice. Takes. It's Kasparov. It's Kasparov. He keeps pestering us. Kasparov keeps pestering us in the middle of the broadcast, but I'm sorry, I can't get that right now, Gary. Yeah. What do you think of this U.S. championship, Nick?
Well, first of all, I think Kasparov should call back during the chess cafe when you have a bit of time. We'd be happy to hear from him with Alexei, Rudolph, and all the other people. It's time to discuss. Tuesday night marathon, we have to discuss our players' chess. But the U.S. Championship,
I want to see. You know what I want to see, Nick, on the Chess Cafe, is I want to see some members of the Bermuda team.
oh yeah,
You got to get some members of the Bermuda team.
some happy people.
Yeah. I think, Nick, I think I might go to the there's a good possibility I'll go this Saturday to the Bernal Heights Chess Club.
Now that is an event in San Francisco, Bernal Heights, one of the new trendy areas of San Francisco. And who should you meet there?
They have a
Some of
chess
the-
club meeting there. Juliana is forming the chess club there at Progressive Grounds Coffee Shop this coming Saturday on Cortlandt Avenue. So I'm thinking of taking a trip over there, having some coffee and something to eat, and playing some chess. And lording it over the locals as a chess celebrity. I'll go in as a chess celebrity, you know.
Well, you need to do this, carry on the great tradition of Cafe Chess of San Francisco, which, where was the place in Coal Valley that Steve used to go to?
The Meat Market coffee shop.
Okay.
And up the street from there was Fiddler's Green. Both of those places were, yeah. And there's been various reincarnations here and there of coffee shops and chess players.
So yes, that's the Bernal Heights one. I think there was one in Noe Valley at some point.
That's the one I'm talking about, the Meat Market coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
No, but there's also one. It wasn't on Fury, but well, okay. There's various ones that Steve would go to in those days.
Yeah.
But right now, Bernal Heights, that's the place. And actually, if you see former San Francisco Teacher of the Year, Judy Vertel there, she used to go to that place too.
Ooh, that's a nice move. Look at that Queen F7 move. Attacking F2 and the rook at H5. Nice move.
You think that White is trying to attack and suddenly, boom, the counter happens.
This is a nice, both players are doing the rook H1. You know, I think White's gone a little rook. I'm not sure what should have happened here, but it's black's move. Let's go back up to board one, Nick.
There was some Bent Larson said, with a knight on F8, you never get mated. And the black king never came under attack in this game.
So we've had this problem on board one. Ezra's game has been frozen. Ezra's game's been frozen for like at least 45 minutes or something like that. So we don't know what's going on. I'll go take a look after we run through the games, and I'll give everybody a... Aaron Craig says he's in New York, so he couldn't make the game. Okay. Hey, Aaron. Has the Mercado Brownlow game already concluded? Hoping my old friend Sam can avenge my 0-3 record against Adam. I thought it would be a good game. We've been following that game, and it has been a good game. Here it is. This has been a great game, actually. Okay. Yeah. This is the game. This is the game. Okay. Yeah, we're not using. We like this move, Rook A6. And yes, I guess black is ahead a piece for a couple of pawns, but this is still a volatile situation, and anything can happen here. So thank you, Concaeus, and I forget who you are too. I've been terrible at this. Did he play a King's Indian Defense, Nick? This was a
No.
Sicilian. Yeah, this was a Sicilian.
Was no King's Indian.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go on to board one here, or board two, where Winslow is battling it out against Nicholas Wang. Look at this, the black rook got all active.
Yeah, what went wrong? For the white side, suddenly black is very happy. The king's safe. There's no big threat.
We're going to try to get an update on the board one here, which stalled at move 16. It stalled at move 16 after black's 16th move. So we need white's 17th move. Do you want me to try to here call the move out and I'll make it.
It looks like rook fe1.
Rook fe1. How do I put that on the board?
You just click.
Oh, I see. You click the square first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Queen
D7 or 6? Probably D7.
yeah, queen d7.
Okay.
Queen d2.
So you click the square D2. Whoops.
You click the queen.
Oh.
And d2.
Oh, queen. Okay. Somehow it worked. And then black.
a6.
So click the square A6?
Click the pawn first and then to a6.
Okay, right. That makes sense to me.
It looks like rook e2.
Right. Got it.
b5. a3. Knight e6.
Bishop E3.
Bishop e3. Looks like queen c7. Knight takes e6. X e6.
Okay.
Looks like f4.
Okay.
Rook
Okay.
And then it looks like
Makes sense. Okay.
that's it.
Okay.
So then I'll just put here in progress. I think that might be the key.
Okay. That's a new thing. Okay.
And
All right. Here we go, Nick. It looked like it did it because, okay.
We've got Ezra's game
Yeah.
back up
and
to
let me just
speed.
confirm that the Queenie one
Was the last move. It looks like it because we have the clocks ticking down here. What do you think, Nick? I mean, Ezra's still got a good, nice game, but Eiko is still in the game.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If he can just get control of those central dark squares.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. We're back on this game. Back on the chain gang. I mean, back on the chess game.
Yeah, it's just trying to hang on there. That's
Okay, good. All right. So, all right, let's go to Winslow's game because that was a little more exciting.
used to be very good for Winslow, but he sort of slipped up and
what's his
no
bishop?
advantage as far as I can see.
The bishop is sort of in the wrong spot, weirdly enough. Like, it would just be better on e3 or f4 or something. It's just in a strange spot there on the 7th rank.
Yeah, and actually, if Black doesn't trade any pieces, he's in great shape. He'd almost get his zugzwang on, but
You've got Zugzwang on the brain. I mean, Black could be better here.
Black is not worse, but slip-up can easily happen.
Tough game. Tough little game here. All right, let's move on to, we've seen that game. And this is Guy Argo, who's doing everything he can to just be like, hey, you know, I'm a pawn down, but I'm playing chess, and I'm going to try to, you know, make it life difficult for you.
And yeah, Guy went wrong, but
he's got pressure on the e file and chances.
Yeah, we see Nathan's continuation a few moves later. We get upset that Nathan at least brought all his pieces out, and suddenly he had a huge.
All right, and this is Clemens played Queen b5, Nick.
Yeah,
That desperation move that I threw out there, and Black played knight e6.
Oh, it was a good move. Queen b5 needed to be played. It's absolutely forced and keeps you in the game. So, you know, there's no knockout blow for it. So,
This is a complex battle. I'm glad these you know, it's almost a game for two grandmasters, this position.
yeah, if you had one with the computer with the tactics and another with the intuition, that would be very interesting.
Ha! Okay, Nick, let's just go back a little bit to this position.
To me, this is someone like they're struggling, they kind of want to resign, but they can't resign. And
Oh, bishop h7 check. Look at that. That doesn't seem to work.
bishop g2 is actually bishop d2.
Well, queen takes e5 can just be met by what? Queen b2 check?
Queen b2 check, queen takes b2, and
Rook b2.
move the.
And then take on e1.
Okay. And then you're up a whole rook.
Actually, you're up, yeah, up a whole rook. So white just is desperate here.
Hoping for something big, some right continuation.
Kevin can just end it here with queen takes b2 check. Oh no, that's not quite so easy. Yeah, f6. Oh,
Every move you give white a chance to survive.
but f6
Think
is
bad could
great.
happen.
F6 is great. Rook h8 check. What can white do here? It's over. Kevin's gonna win this. Gonna take home. He's gonna take it home here, I think. The writing's on the wall.
So yeah, Jeffrey John used to be a promising young player, but he's too old. Who are well, we don't have any teenagers in the U.S. Championship.
Okay, this is the Mercado Brown. Yeah, let's see how this has gone. Okay, so black played rook a6 and white played bishop there. And this seems to be a move that black is probably happy to see because the momentum is gone, right?
Of the position, the momentum's gone.
I mean, for white, right?
Yeah, you don't have an attacking.
There's no, yeah. I mean, bishop c4 looked a little better. Now the things are blocked. Oh. White may find his rook on h3 to be completely out of the game.
Oh, that'll happen, but I bet it has a future in attacking in the next 20 minutes.
True. All right. Well, I like black at this point. And let's see. This is Gimmelfarb versus Drury, and this game seems to have stopped. I'm not sure what happened here. But I can imagine that black probably is going to be lost here.
Yes, because of the pins, you couldn't allow white to trade on d8 and get the bishop to g5. Means black was losing the battle, and white comes out a pawn ahead in this.
White comes out the exchange ahead, right?
It was a pawn. Is it now going to be a pawn for the exchange?
Well, what happens after rook takes d3?
Yeah.
That's it. Knight has to move, and then bishop f8.
Yes. But does black get either the pawn on e5 or the pawn on c4 back?
Yeah.
It's
So he's down the exchange, but maybe white snookered him because we don't have the finish of the game. Gimmelfarb won, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So white won. We don't know how exactly. And this game is, wow. White got out of a jam here. Let's see how this happened. Remember this, Nick? We haven't looked at this game in a long time.
Yeah, it looked kind of even or something.
So White played rook f1. Black went back with the queen. White plays f4. Maybe threatening to trap the bishop. Black takes. And White starts to get the pawn moving in the middle. And Black is piling up on the d pawn, but just before he can do anything, White plays g5. And now a complex game where White's made a definite comeback, if you ask me.
Yeah, shouldn't be too complex. White should just be better. But
Right. Well, he was worse, and now so this has been a big turnaround. All right. And let's look at Reed versus Wang on board 2 of the under 1800 section.
B versus 1.
Look at this, 4 pawns down, Nick.
2, 4, 6, 7 against 3. But you like White anyway.
If it's mate, yeah.
Yeah, let's check. What Black do there?
Looks like Black is on the ropes.
I mean, all the white pieces are in the attack, so, but this is a time to be brave with that Black king. If you can just get to some safety, you win the game.
King D6.
Somehow.
King D7. King D6.
But if you do King D6, that is the question.
And Paul.
Now, any check.
Paul is a strong player. Paul Reed. He beat Sebi in a strange game. I remember that game from I think last week.
Yeah, Sebi is very promising, but still has a lot to learn.
So how's New York City, Aaron? Gosh, it's been a long time since I've been there. I'd love to visit New York again. All right, let's move on here. Up all the way up to board 1. I like New York City better than San Francisco most of the time. Have you been to the Marshall Club? I have a feeling this game stopped updating as well, although it maybe we'll find out.
Yeah,
Ezra
that's
mentioned
too bad.
it might have stopped updating. Let's go down to Winslow Wang.
The Marshall chessboard is such a classic chessboard, but and I'm still a member of that, by the way. But it somehow the organization is not quite as up to date as the mechanics and
Well, they have a different thing going on there, right? More players off the street than we do, right?
Yes, it's a bit of a different scenario, but we're the two sort of old chess clubs that, brick and mortar chess clubs, and on opposite sides of America. So we've got a lot in common, but most honestly, some things we do just do better than they do.
So after rook a6, what's the move for Black? Knight c4.
I guess the knight didn't want to get too far away, so the pawn with the queen. But Yeah, I mean, maybe we should get to the current position and see. Is this the current
That is-
position?
yeah, this is. And Winslow played D7.
So the knight can come to C4, it can come to D3 or G4.
Wait a minute now. Elliott's starting to make a queen.
Oh, that is counterplay, one admits.
So knight D7 is absolutely forced.
Yeah, probably just the bet. Oh,
All right, so there's a little bit of one piece trying to dominate another going on here.
yeah. Wow. Okay, interesting stuff.
So black's not quite in Sitzwang though.
Yeah, it's I mean, but oh, the material is even, but terrible position for the black side.
Well, coming up is what? Rook takes C4. Why is that going to be bad?
Well, it's white's move.
Yeah.
White's move. Just
Maybe bishop F4, and if rook C4, rook D6. Oh, then he can play rook back to D4.
yeah. I mean, amazing what they did in those days. They arranged these kind of marriages and.
Huh. Well, that's interesting, Aaron. I had one of my greatest chess tournaments was in Memphis. My finest results. Tying for first in the U.S. Junior with Sarawana Fedorowicz. I don't think Winslow's really got much here. I mean, this is black for choice, even if the C pawn goes for nothing. Yeah, that rook A4 looks like it's kind of prudent. Actually, King E6 doesn't. What should black play here now? H4 maybe. Try to loosen white up there. King E6. King E6, rook A6 is ridiculous, so. How about knight F8 trying to play knight E6? Nah.
Gives you bishop E5
Yeah,
and
and
some
the white rook
checks.
gets in, yeah. I think both players have to kind of keep the status quo here.
So pawn to H4, your move at least try to do something.
But now Winslow can just play rook A6 and rook A4. I predict a draw in a few moves.
Probably Nicholas is still a bit afraid of international master Winslow and
Well, it's like Vinny and I. We played 4 times. I beat him 3 in a row, and then he got the better position. And in our 4th game that we played, and I offered a draw, and he took it. But I was in really terrible form in that game. But yeah, sometimes you just got to get on the scoreboard.
against a particular opponent who just gives you a lot of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that would have given, if Vinny and I had played a few more times, I think he was at that point ready to turn the tide. But I was a smart opponent. I never came back.
When I was learning chess, there was this great player in sort of southern central California, Kim Clemens.
Oh, Kim, I played him only one time. It was an incredible game. Tell me about it.
Well, but you know, he sort of taught me chess because I just started playing the tournaments and things, and after a couple of years, so lucky to play in the first game and nice enough to show me where I went wrong. And so he beat me the first 4 games or something.
Yeah.
And, I was rated 1,500, 1,700, 19. And then the fifth game, I beat him. And I guess we never played after that. But
Right.
it was,
Yeah, his career kind of was before ours.
yes.
I mean,
And then he went into real estate and music clubs in the Los Angeles area.
Right. Huh. Yeah. He played in a couple of he played in a Lone Pine or a couple of Lone Pines.
Yes.
I played him when I was about an expert and player. I was quite young. I was like 13 or something. And he was already at 20, and I am at 2,400.
One of the best players in the country.
And I had him on the ropes. He played a center counter against me, and a long, crazy battle ended in a draw. But
wow,
one of
really
my memorable
good.
games, definitely one of my memorable games. I wrote about it for the newsletter. Really exciting game. The only time I ever played him.
Well, that was something.
I'll tell you, Nick. I mean, in my own small way, I feel very lucky to have played the great players that I did, yourself included. I know you played, of course, the elite in the world on a regular basis, but I just as a local master got to play so many good players in my time. I'm humbled by it. In retrospect, very lucky.
Now, here in Winslow's game, Nicholas Wang, did he get greedy and just go wrong there? Is there rook a6 check? Ouch, does that win the knight? No, sorry, rook d6.
I mean, white could play bishop e5 and rook a6. That's who's that dangerous for who? I mean,
we're adding that g pawn, and you have a passed g pawn.
Of course, you give up the c pawn.
Yeah, rook a6 check, rook d6 doesn't do much for the white side.
But here's wily Winslow's chance, maybe. Oh, he plays the rook a6. Huh.
But okay, then rook d6. That knight is pinned. So,
But what can white do with a pinned knight? In fact, isn't that close? Black's ready to play king e6 and knight c4. It might not be good at all. Oh,
okay, now that threatens rook e8.
Yeah, that's a great move. Look at that.
Okay, so,
wow.
Wily Winslow, not satisfied to try to repeat moves. He's causing trouble for young Nicholas.
Fabulous move. Does Black have to lose the exchange here?
Oh, probably. Wow, rook e8 check is a big threat.
Incredible. That's like a strange tactic.
Suddenly, big trouble for the black side.
Amazing. What a fine move and a great find in the position. And Winslow played it very quickly, too. Suddenly, I mean, this just goes to show you that chess is not an easy game. I mean, just like out of nowhere.
Yes, and Nicholas, he got ambitious trying to attack this.
Yes, knight e5 was a little bit, instead of just holding the fort after bishop f4. Right? If black just plays something like rook d3 or rook d3 or rook d1, I mean, is the white king going to come to e2 and force Sitzwang or something?
Well, you could try, but you're going to get checked from over on the b file. And but
Black's
this way,
position is more precarious than it looks. It's funny. Anyway, we've got this. Elliot. Shall we try board 1 again?
yeah, let's go back to Ezra's
Too
game.
bad. Too bad. Okay, so this game is just, we have no idea what's going on. But I'll tell you what, Nick, I'll go run out there and take a look. And I'll be right back. And I'll give you a report. Okay?
Okay, so we're gonna, Paul's gonna venture into the chess room.
Into the depths of the mechanic. I'm going to enter the dragon. And I'll be right back.
Puts on his ninja mask so he's not recognized by any of the enemy. Like, no thought of COVID or anything, but when you enter the chess room, you want to put on your mask so nobody recognizes you, at least these days. But it's quite amazing the club still has this extremely strong following, even after all this time of the coronavirus. Some 70 people live in the club, and of course, Abel's trying to keep it manageable, keeping it completely safe against any spread of the coronavirus. So people are vaccinated or in masks, but they get to play chess. There's good spacing in the club for all the events, and never been a problem at all. So, or San Francisco has been done well, been lucky about the spread of the virus, and in great shape so that live chess continues there.
Well, Nick, I've got this to report that the game on board 1 is complex and it's up for grabs. Eiko is giving Ezra a good fight.
And did you notice the timed it all? Because Eiko does tend to get in big time pressure.
I think probably it'll show the time if we just go back up, because that's the one thing that is showing. And Eiko is down to 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes, and Ezra's got 30 minutes. So, yeah.
The position looked like it was getting very unclear.
Yeah, it's not developed. White's managed to put the bishop on e5, I think, and the position's unclear. The queen side is moved around a little bit. Some pawns there. The structure has changed. But anyway, I just took a quick look, so.
Okay, well, we will trust your judgment that the game is just
still complex
and equal.
And now what about this?
Oh, so it looks like I don't think Winslow should have done this. He's losing a pawn on the king side, and if you get to 3 versus 2 on the king side,
like this,
it should be a draw tonight against the rook.
King f1 is maybe the culprit, huh?
Yeah, after he won the exchange.
Yeah. Oh, he can still play rook. I see. he can still play the rook back to g7 and then win the pawn.
Yeah, I think he might have relaxed after winning the exchange because he's got to lose one of these now.
But he's going to win the he's going to win the pawn, right?
Say black plays king to f7.
Oh, king to f8 after rook a7. But does black want his king on the back rank?
Well, if he just wins one of the pawns, he'll be happy. The knight can come back to f7 or something.
3-2. 3-2 should be a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be a draw.
They're going to move back and forth, and Ezra and time pressure will try to do something, and
so will Elliot.
Yes, well, Elliot may have a legitimate winning position. It may take a lot of technique, which I'm not sure he's up for, but I'm not surprised if that's a legitimate win.
Okay. Black is probably trying to play queen h6. Not that that was going to win the game. Oh, it might, because then if king h2, queen f4 check. Queen f8 is a nice looking move.
Sorry, what's your line again in this poem?
Well, isn't black threatening queen h6? And if king h2, queen f4 check.
Indeed.
And then king can go back to h1. I don't know. I'm just spouting out some random line here.
Yeah, it looks like black is better, despite being a pawn down.
Amazing.
Just real pressure, tactical troubles.
Queen f8 was a nice move. It looks like.
Yes. If we went pawn to d7.
Yeah, it could be a draw by repetition.
Yeah, king to h2, queen f4 check, king back to h1.
Queen back to h6.
Yeah, well, then repeat the position, king to h2.
Yeah.
Yes, it may just be positionally equal, or they're both sides have played very actively, have caused a lot of problem. I'm sure both sides are looking to win. But yeah, if I were either side, I'd say, hey, this is the first round. Position's a bit shaky. Let's not lose.
But wait a minute, this is the sixth round.
Sorry, yeah.
But apart from that, Nick, what about d6, queen h6, rook d3?
Wow.
Rook e2, rook takes queen takes e2, rook takes e2, and then d7.
And the pawn is queen. That's
But then queen c6 check.
And you what a
And you lose.
What a shot. So let's try that.
Oh, okay.
On it goes h2.
King h2. So that allows queen f4 check.
That looked.
White wasn't tempted there. It's getting late here. It's 10:05 in the evening. We still have another, another 45 minutes probably of chess here at the
Yes, if you look at the clock. Games are hard fought this time.
I'm going to go down to Clemens. Yeah. What happened here? It looked like another interference move here. Queen d5, knight e6, rook d1, knight c7, queen a4, knight e6, queen c2, and again knight c5. And now I can't play queen b5, so he plays rook c7. And that allows rook e2. This is a complicated fight.
Okay, but rook e2, but now the rook on the c line on c7 is not attacked. So can't you just move the queen to f5 and say, hey, I'm up a pawn?
Yeah. Well, you're not up a pawn, but you're, you know. Yeah, he should have played queen f5 maybe. I agree. That would have been stronger than this.
But yeah, you would have been winning a pawn on a7.
Oh, that's right. The knight's attacked. Now black can play knight e4. But white got somewhere with this.
Yeah, I mean, with the rook on the 7th rank, it's just a great game for white.
Yeah. Okay. Christian has been outplaying his opponents in the middle game lately, in these late middle game positions. All right, let's move on here.
He's a bit short on time, so
all right, this game must have ended in a win for Kevin. Let's see how it happened here. White gave up a bunch of pieces and then resigned. Okay. Wow, Kevin, big win for Kevin. I mean, Costa is not a slouch. That's a big 200 rating point swing on that game.
because he might have swindled him. If Kevin hadn't been alert, I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's a 200 point swing, rating point swing. It's a big win for Kevin.
Well, kudos to Kevin. He just keeps playing and trying and learning about chess and doing better and better every month.
It must have been that Zhuang class.
About that. Did he take some of your classes on Endgame or
He did. I think he's taken a couple of my classes. Maybe, no, I don't think he took the long classes. I don't think Kevin ever took one of my long classes. He used to show up for game analysis class like a year and a half
Game
ago.
analysis,
Yeah. But no, I don't think he,
So you can't be credited with his supreme growth?
no. That's all the Zhuang class. But I miss him. I mean, when Kevin first came to the club, he was attending my lectures here.
Yeah.
And so there'd be all these grown-ups and this precocious kid.
I remember when he was playing
Came with his mom.
this classic tournament, he was playing like Judith, an extra rated game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, Kevin loves his chess, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, he does love it. He's having a blast right now playing Skittles in the annex.
He's playing Skittles in the end. He just did a 200 rating point swing over Acosta.
Yeah.
So that's a big.
Oh yeah, he sees all players as beatable. Right. He does not even care.
So Adam Ricardo is losing now, quite convincingly. Aaron, if you're still there, Sam Brownlow is just on the victory path here with black. I mean, put that bishop, defend the second rank, put the bishop on d5.
what happened? White lost a piece.
Remember he sacked that piece. He sacked the piece and then didn't follow it up correctly. I think the sack was probably pretty good. But maybe here he should have played bishop c4 and then kept the game open, like by playing f5 on the next move or something. But this was the wrong way to go here.
Or bishop c4 right away and bishop b5.
Yeah, this was the wrong way to go. I mean, black locks it up. That's a nice piece trade for black right there for sure. That's a good move. Look at that. Knight c5 is excellent. Why doesn't white play queen takes e6 check? Aha. Because of king h8, c takes d3, bishop c5. Right, Nick? Look at that, winning a piece. Oh no, that doesn't quite work. Why doesn't white play queen e6 check here? I guess it's hopeless after the queen.
Well, I think you're right. It should have just
take another pawn.
Because you have to mix it up. It's not good for you. So time to change things around.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, he absolutely should have.
Defends the second rank. That's pretty key. And now bishop d5. Yuck. In fact, the queen's lost. Hello. The queen has no squares.
Yeah, time to get a rook and bishop for your queen.
After which you're a rook for a queen down.
Yeah, because you sacrifice the pieces for those 2 pawns. That's that ought to be easy.
Okay. All right. Aaron, I like the way Aaron's like, ha ha, good. Okay, something happened here. I played queen b. This must be DGT madness here. Anyway, clearly white is lost. Let's go down to Gimmelfarb Drury. We know that game was okay. And this has been, black is back in the saddle here with a positional advantage. Huh. Interesting how that happened. Black has a beautiful game here. And this is, this game was agreed to a draw, by the way, is here. Parsons versus Cortinas.
Marty Cortinas. He looks to have a good position at this stage with squares.
Rooting for your childhood friend is a good thing to do, for sure.
Yeah, this game is tough.
Chess has its fair share of ruthless competitiveness, even among people that know each other well and have great regard for each other. So this game, this was black somehow escaped, Nick. Shall we see how? Remember this?
Yeah, sort of escape. I mean, down 2, 4, 5. I mean, down material.
Well, wait a minute now. Here, black looked like he was getting mated, right? He ran with the king to d6. And white misses queen d8 check, winning on the spot.
Does it win on the spot?
Right? King e6, bishop g4 check.
King c5.
Oh, king c5. Now there's a blind spot. I didn't even see that move. I thought he had to play bishop d7 or king e6. But, oh yeah, he runs up with king c5. Yeah, hallucinating. Okay, So white played rook f8, bishop e6.
Which, yeah, hitting the queen, interesting. That's
Great.
a nice tactic, and there's no way out there.
Queen
Maybe there's
h8.
some,
Boom, boom, boom. Black's surely winning now.
maybe you can't, maybe you have to just go queen h8 after bishop e6.
White tries to open it up. And he does. Black gives him a pawn, and now the king is running, and white's picking up some pawns. Wow. I mean, it's still black for choice, right? Put the king on h7 and run the g pawn or something. Black should be winning.
Yes, it's disheartening when things are bad, but then you get a tactic, it goes your way, and it's still bad. So.
All right. Well, we're moving on here. Back up to board one. Oh, nothing has happened there. We have no idea, except for that Ezra has 22 minutes and Eiko has 27 seconds.
Difficult Eiko, and I can't help but root for Eiko when he's down to such little time. They're hoping he doesn't blunder horribly, that he makes a fight of it with his clock running down.
This is a draw. Unless by some miracle Elliot can win one of the pawns, and even he'd have to win the F pawn, probably, for there to be any chances to win.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, any horrible blunder by white.
Black can use a lot of tactics to get in these positions, like knight f4 here, right?
Yeah, hoping for cheapos and checks. Rook h4, knight g2. But if the rook just runs away, can't win the game.
What about rook h6 here?
Yeah, rook h6, rook h7, even rook h8.
He might be able to pick up the h pawn, actually.
Oh, white, yes, no, white is going to win the game. Black can't hold everything.
You think white's winning this?
But you're right, let's go immediately rook h6 and say, Zug's wrong, what are you going to do?
This is wrong.
You could go knight g2 check,
King f2.
king to f2, knight back to f4.
And then take the h pawn. But I mean, that's a drawn position, right? King and the king and knight and pawn versus the king and rook and pawn.
Oh, if it's the h pawn.
No, I mean, that's the f pawn versus f pawn, right?
Well,
that should be a draw.
Trying to think about it. It's not easy. It's certainly not easy. And you have to have the knight and king lined up quite right to stop it out. And then it is a draw, but still people mess it up.
Yeah.
So
white
actually,
has to try to get this h pawn here.
We could make bets on this game like that.
Yeah, especially with Nicholas having 4 minutes left. All right, let's move down though to board to this game, which is still going on. Is white trying to figure out a way? Oh, so black is somehow lost. What's going on here? Whoops. White's thinking here.
Yeah. Thinking's not going to help.
Yeah, thinking is usually a poor thing to do in chess, right? Well, what's he worried about? I mean, he's got to play d6.
We need him to play g6, yeah.
But then queen f4 check. Maybe Blanc is winning. I mean, he doesn't have to play the forced draw, right?
Well, what can he do besides the forced draw?
Oh, that's
d6,
right.
queen f4
Queen
check, king
g7.
f1.
Queen g7 is inconvenient. Oh, look
Yeah.
at this. Queen
Yeah,
f1.
Yeah, it's hard to find a plan for white after pawn to g6 when you're doubled on the g line.
Okay, so white's playing what? Black's queen a1 check. What's going on here?
Black is playing with fire.
Black
So
is playing with fire. D6.
we thought it should just be a draw after d6, queen takes f4 check, king h1, queen h6.
He missed queen h3? I don't think he missed. What's queen h3?
No, there wouldn't be queen h3 when king h2 is allowed. So
Oh, okay. So Michael is saying that he could have played rook h3, queen h3, queen f4. I don't think that works.
Queen h2. I'm not sure which position because
Back here.
d6, rook h3, queen h3, queen h4, king
Rook
h.
h3 doesn't work, right? Queen h3, queen f4, queen g3, queen g2, queen g7 mate. That doesn't work, Michael.
I'm not sure you have the starting positions right, but a very intense game. So rook to e4 though doesn't look right. It looks like all the black pieces they've come up for the battle, but the battle is kind of behind them.
What happens here if d6, rook f4?
And if d7,
rook f2 check?
I'm not sure. Is the white in this position with the white queen on f1 and g1?
Well, rook f2 check, queen f2, queen h3 mate with the rook on e3. But okay, white's played rook g3. This game is beyond me.
Crazy game.
Well, we're all getting a little loopy here. Thanks.
But say instead of rook g3, you've gone d6, rook f4, d7.
Then
To
rook,
try to-
then rook f2 check.
And ooh, does that mate no matter what?
Well,
Uh-huh.
that's my idea.
Doesn't matter. Queen g2 is queen h3
Let's
mate.
take a look at it. Queen f1. This is after. Sorry. This is after queen f1. Whoa! Something happened here. Help! Help! Showing the innards of the. Oh, there you go. Okay. Look at that. Michael's got a point. Okay, so there's all kinds of variations here. So first of all, Black could have played rook h3 here, Nick. Queen h3, queen f4 check, queen g3, and then the queen goes back to h6 check.
And
And then you take on d2.
Okay.
Good point, Michael. Good point.
Like clearly wins this game.
Who's playing here? Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah, Mike Klein's better for black there. So missed that. But continuing,
So what? But also, what about? Okay, so he played rook e4. You're right. That's interesting. He played rook e4, and now we're talking d6, rook
Yeah.
f4, d7, rook f2 check.
a great shot. Great shot. And then, sorry, d7 rook f4, d7 rook check. And you go rook to g2 after that move. After rook f2 check. It's weird. The queen is hanging, checks are hanging.
Incredible.
Oh, maybe not.
So
Not that you win
rook
material,
f4,
but
d7, rook f2 check, and you're saying rook g2?
g2.
Well, you can take that queen with check at some point, which would be good.
Yes, true. It's probably, yes, and then the rook on d2 is loose.
Yeah.
So the pawn owns queen. Okay, very nice.
Instead, white jumped up with rook g3. And I guess black felt that the only move to keep anything going is rook takes f4. But it is possible to still play rook g3. And if king g3, rook e3 check, king h2, rook h3 check, and queen f4 check, and queen takes d2.
No interest. Yeah, that looks good.
That's still that same line that Michael pointed out. That's
Hey, nice line.
That's pretty little line. But instead he plays rook f4, so what's going on here? Oh. All right. White swung the queen over to a1.
What? Oh, a1 check. Good check. Yes, check is a good move. Oh boy.
But now rook
Ouch.
d4 is rook d4 just wins a rook, right?
That just hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts. Oh my god. Nice shot there.
That's just a whole rook. Right, rook g3, rook g4 check. Oh no. Oh. Oh, but black has rook e2 check? No.
Rookie 2 check, king, I don't know, g1 even.
Or rook, yeah. Right.
And then queen f6, but it doesn't matter. Rook back to d1 or queen to e2.
A few more tricks, but that's looks like black is.
Oh, what an exciting game.
Yeah,
Like,
white has to be a little careful here. Like interposing a rook is not good, of course.
and it's always, white was kind of pressing, but then it got totally out of control. And
But now white just needs to play king h1, right?
yeah, king h1 or king g1.
Yeah. Wow. Nathan Fong pulls it out. It looks like
Ezra won.
Ezra Chambers won the game.
Oh,
That means he's won the
He's
tournament.
won the tournament.
with a round to go.
With a round to go,
First
he's won the
one.
tournament with a perfect 5-0, 6-0, 6-0.
But if we can revisit Ezra's game, I don't know if you
We'll
have
have to do
some.
that in the newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to the score sheet.
There's no way we can do that from here. I think this laptop ran out of power. Okay, so let's move on. Guy Argo is in deep trouble here against Nathan Fong. And this game, surprisingly, nobody's fallen for any horrendous thing yet, and the material is still even. But it looks like white is still better.
Yes, his material is even, and no tax. White is better, and lots of.
But white is down on time. All right, we know that Acosta lost to Sun. This Brownlow won versus Mercado. Gimmelfarb won against Jury. This game was a draw. This game was won by black, obviously. Board 2 here. Black finally found a way to win this. Okay, so we are on Elliot Winslow versus Nicholas Wang.
Well, okay, down to one pawn, and it just doesn't work for the black. Okay, Nicholas is
Black
fine.
in trouble here, huh? Amazing.
Yeah, just rook f8 check, king e5, king g5. Not enough squares.
Boy, oh boy. Black somehow did not organize a defense here. This is quite a rook a2 just wins easily.
Yeah, many ways to win when that nobody's defending the pawn but the knight.
Wow.
It'd been nice to win by Zugzwang, but the knight just has to move away and you take it. It's quite good enough to
Yeah.
get some problems.
Wow. Elliot Winslow makes it 4-0 versus Nicholas lifetime, or so he says.
And next round's Karen. I mean, would you venture a prediction? Who is Ezra going to play on board one?
I don't know. He's played Elliot, right? No, maybe he hasn't played Elliot. He may take a bye.
What a good way to win a tournament. Like,
Right.
is that not sure that's legal?
Right. Look at White can win with Rook G8 check here, and he did. That's a brutal move. Squashing all counterplay.
He deserving finish.
Yeah, nice game. A Guy Argo almost pulled this out of the hat. That was crazy.
Guy played really well, especially with a bad position.
Yeah, I think he had the draw in hand. Or no, White played for the win here, right?
Yes.
Remember this? He played Queen F1. And Black actually missed Rook H3 check here.
Yeah, great move. Rook H3 check.
Yeah.
And has it again here. Rook H3.
Right. But
Yeah,
but
here
instead
it
played
says.
rook f4. Yeah. Yeah, in this position, he could have played rook takes g3.
He missed that
King
great
g3,
queen a1
rook
check.
e3 check, and if king h2, rook h3 check. Huh. Amazing. Okay.
Well, it's sort of a shame for Guy that, after coming back from a difficult situation.
Boy, chess is a tough game.
Yeah, yeah, and he decided by that finish with time pressure. You never know what's happening until the time pressure is over.
Well, Christian is doing well in this game, but the time is not on his side. And is he falling for a fork here with 92 and 94? What's going on? Queen c7? Everything falls. Everything is hanging.
Yeah.
Oh no, and he played king f1, 94, queen c7, queen d1 is mate. Oh, white has just fallen apart. Amazing.
Oh, Christian. Well, mate is not. Oh God, are you losing?
Losing
You
everything.
have to play G. No, you can't play G4. You lose the knight. Wow.
Yeah.
King F1 just wasn't good, Christian.
You had to play king h1, I guess.
When you can't cheapo your opponent, it's a bad situation.
King h1 was forced, and if knight d4, queen c7, maybe. This just loses everything.
No, yeah, it's a shame. Okay, I can. That move.
Just take the rook.
Take the rook, knight c6.
Take the knight then.
Well, you take my knight, I take your knight. So
No,
knight c6, rook d6.
No, you couldn't take my knight because my queen at e5 was defending the knight at d4. But this is still got to be.
Oh, sorry, it was black's move. So knight d3, knight to c6. Can you squelch out any hope? Well, maybe there's hope.
Yeah, and black queen e5 is a little better, maybe. Although I think black is fine. Going to be winning anyway. Rook d6.
If you look at the times, is Christian down to 11 seconds?
Yes.
Well, okay, that's a shame.
Oh, now queen b3, and he's queen e2 check. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was worse.
Okay, that's possible though.
White's actually done pretty well here, considering that black could have just won could have played some different moves. Christian is surviving. And I think that's the only game left. Yep.
Okay.
This is the game, last game of the evening here.
So Ezra Chambers has won the event. He's with a perfect 6 out of 6 thus far. And he's going to try to do what. Now, I think Hans Niemann did it, and did Elliot Winslow also win the event with a perfect score one time?
I think maybe, yeah.
Okay. So Hans may be trying to etch his name in the history books there next week.
Black just could have played Queen F4 check. That would have been pretty good. Still got it.
Oh,
He's missing Queen F4 check. Now he sees it. Oh.
Kristen has some chance. Oh, Queen F4 check again, though. Ouch, 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 ouch.
Folks,
Oh.
live from downtown San Francisco, you've seen checkmate on the board. And I guess I can say for everybody out there, thanks for joining us. And any parting words, Nick?
Keep your palms safe and your pieces safe.
Don't hang your face. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the stream, and I'm going to say goodnight, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and I don't know how to do a raid, so I'm just gonna stop the stream and say goodnight.
Good night, everyone.
See you soon.